There arrives a moment in existence when the dynamics between parents and children begin to evolve. You dedicate years nurturing them, leading them, and making sacrifices for their well-being. But then, one day, you come to the realization that something has shifted. Perhaps they overlook your suggestions. Perhaps your viewpoints are overlooked. It's possible that they belittle you, or even worse, they make you feel like a weight on their shoulders. And that can be painful. When your children begin to show you less respect than you rightfully deserve, it's natural to feel a sense of frustration or even anger. It could be beneficial to reflect on all that you've contributed to their lives, highlighting the time and effort you've dedicated to prioritizing their needs. However, the reality is that allowing anger to take over won't lead to a solution. In reality, it frequently exacerbates the situation. There exists a far more powerful approach to earn their respect back, free from conflict, disputes, and bitterness. Today, I'm going to share 6 strategies to consider when you feel your children are not showing you the respect you deserve. These are significant transformations, straightforward adjustments in your reactions that can entirely alter their perception of you. Some of these may catch you off guard, but if you stick around until the conclusion, you'll uncover the path to reclaiming your status as a respected and valued presence in their lives. Let's embark on this journey together. Step 1. Let go of seeking their validation. One of the most significant missteps that parents often take, particularly as they age, is the tendency to exert excessive effort in seeking their children's approval. Perhaps you've observed yourself engaging in that behavior. You make an extra effort to ensure their needs are met. Embrace your true feelings and stand firm in your decisions. You prioritize their needs over your own, believing that by doing enough, you will earn their appreciation. However, the harsh reality is that the more you seek their validation, the more your worth diminishes in their eyes. Do you understand what I'm saying? Respect is not gained by putting oneself last. It is cultivated through honoring oneself. When you constantly prioritize others, accommodating their needs, and striving to maintain harmony, you inadvertently convey that your own emotions are less important. When they begin to embrace that mindset, it becomes effortless for them to overlook your value. There was a remarkable woman named Margaret who embodied strength and independence in her youth. As she matured, she began to allow her children to take the reins in decision-making. She adjusted her plans to accommodate their demands, held back her thoughts, and overlooked the condescending way they addressed her. Her words resonated deeply. "I simply wish to hold our family close." What transpired? Her children no longer recognized her worth. She was perceived as a person who would consistently adapt, always consent, and remain quiet. She believed she was maintaining harmony, yet in truth, she was silencing her own voice. When your children show a lack of respect, the initial move isn't to insist on it. Rather, it's to cease behaving as though you require their approval. Establish limits. Embrace the power of saying no when it's necessary. Express your thoughts openly, regardless of whether others appreciate your perspective. When you begin to honor your own worth, others will begin to perceive you in a new light. Eventually, the respect you give will find its way back to you. Step 2. Avoid conflict. Demonstrate through your actions. When your children disregard your opinions, interrupt you, or show you disrespect, your initial reaction may be to engage in a debate, to recount all that you've done for them, or to insist that they pay attention. Allow me to share a valuable insight. Engaging in arguments rarely leads to positive outcomes and can save you from years of unnecessary frustration. Consider this. When was the last time you stood your ground to earn the respect you deserve? Respect is not something that can be claimed through mere words. It is cultivated through your presence, the manner in which you conduct yourself, and how you react when others challenge your patience. When you respond to disrespect with anger, you only reinforce their belief that they hold power over you. I once met a man named Frank, a retired teacher who dedicated his life to guiding students with unwavering confidence. However, within the confines of his home, his adult children began to regard him as a mere afterthought. They overlooked his guidance, brushed aside his worries, and at times even chuckled when he attempted to set them straight. Initially, he defended himself, striving to demonstrate that he was still worthy of their esteem. Yet, with every struggle he faced, the situation only seemed to deteriorate further. Then one day, Frank decided to take a different path. Rather than engaging in conflict, he chose to embrace the art of listening, truly absorbing what was being said. He ceased the pursuit of respect through words and instead embodied the demeanor of a man who possessed it already. He communicated with a serene demeanor, embodying knowledge, free from the desire for victory. Gradually, his children began to observe. They observed a man who exuded confidence without seeking validation, who felt no need to demonstrate his worth, who simply existed as a figure of strength. If your children lack respect for you, it's best not to engage in conflict over it. Demonstrate the essence of respect through your self-treatment. Maintain your self-respect. Communicate with assurance. Above all, maintain your dignity and do not stoop to their level. When you stand firm with poise, others will sense it, and eventually they will be inspired to follow your example. If you're still engaged with this video and appreciating these insights, please drop a number 2 in the comments to show your presence. If you haven't joined us yet, I encourage you to subscribe and activate the notification bell to stay updated with all our videos. Your encouragement empowers us to keep producing valuable content that enlightens and motivates you. It's time to take the next step. Step 3. Detach from your emotional reliance. As you navigate through the years, one of the most challenging insights to grasp is that relying on your children for emotional satisfaction may not be the answer. Your feelings for them may run deep, and you likely desire their love and respect in return. However, once they perceive that you require their validation, the dynamics of the relationship change. Let's face it, everyone, even those who are closest to you, honor individuals who possess emotional self-sufficiency. Relying on others for validation, affection, or attention can create undue pressure on them. Rather than experiencing gratitude, they begin to feel weighed down. They may distance themselves. They may begin to show signs of impatience or even annoyance towards you. As you pursue their affection, it becomes increasingly elusive. There was a woman I once encountered named Helen. She was a nurturing mother who devoted her all to her children. As time passed, and they became engrossed in their own journeys, she often found herself by the phone, yearning for their call. When they failed to reach out, she took the initiative to call them. Frequently, perhaps excessively, she expressed her deep longing for their presence, sharing her heartfelt desire for them to come and visit more often. However, rather than fostering connection, it created distance between them. Her calls began to feel like a duty rather than a source of joy. Then one day, Helen embarked on a new path. She took charge of her own journey. She ceased to initiate the calls. Instead, she began to prioritize her own well-being, exploring new interests, socializing with friends, and nurturing her own joy. Then, an unexpected event unfolded. Her children began reaching out more frequently. They began to honor her time, recognizing her as an individual with a rich and fulfilling existence. The teaching is straightforward. When you rely less on your children for a sense of purpose, they will begin to appreciate your presence more deeply. When you demonstrate your ability to stand firm independently, others will begin to respect you, not out of duty, but because they truly appreciate the journey you've undertaken to create your own path. Step 4. Establish your limits and uphold them. One of the primary factors contributing to a decline in children's respect for their parents is the allowance of such behavior by the parents themselves. When you permit your children to speak to you without respect, disregard your views, or act as though your time and emotions are insignificant, this behavior will persist. It's not that they are inherently bad individuals, rather, it's that those around you, particularly family, will consistently interact with you in the manner you permit. Establishing boundaries is not about severing ties with your children or fostering discord. It involves making a clear and resolute choice about the behaviors you will embrace and those you will reject. And even more crucially, it involves upholding those boundaries when they are violated. There was a man named Robert, a retired businessman, who dedicated his life to managing a company with unwavering discipline and confidence. However, he faced challenges when it involved his grown children. They cut him off mid-sentence, brushed aside his worries, and even took issue with his lifestyle choices. Initially, he accepted it. He reassured himself that engaging in the struggle wasn't beneficial. However, as time passed, he came to understand that his silence was conveying a message that their actions were permissible. One day, Robert decided to take a different path. When his son interrupted him, he composed himself and replied, "I'll continue speaking when you're prepared to listen." When his daughter dismissed his opinion, he calmly responded, "You don't have to agree with me, but I expect you to show me respect." When they persisted in testing his boundaries, he firmly stated that if they couldn't show him fundamental respect, he would not be investing his time in their company. Can you believe what unfolded next? They began to pay attention. Initially, there was resistance. However, as time passed, they came to understand that their father was steadfast in his resolve. They recognized that he held himself in high regard, insisting on the respect he deserved. As a result, they began to offer it to him. If your children are not showing you the respect you deserve, it's essential to reflect on whether you are permitting that behavior. It's essential to establish your own limits. Otherwise, others will define them for you. If you don't advocate for your own needs, you can't expect others to do it for you. If you're still engaged with this video and appreciating these insights, I'd love for you to comment number 4 below to show your presence. Consider subscribing and activating the notification bell to ensure you stay updated with all the latest videos. Your encouragement empowers us to keep producing valuable content that enlightens and motivates you. It's time to take the next step. Step 5. Cease offering without receiving acknowledgement. One of the fastest paths to diminishing your self-worth is to continue offering your kindness to those who fail to recognize its value. As caregivers, We find ourselves engaging in this practice more frequently than we may be aware of. We invest our time, our energy, and our support, even when it goes unrecognized, even when it is overlooked, even when we encounter nothing but a sense of entitlement. However, let's get to the heart of the matter. When you offer your kindness to someone who fails to recognize it, you do not cultivate affection. Respect is not something you construct. You create anticipation. They begin to perceive your kindness not as a precious gift, but rather as something they inherently deserve. When you cease your efforts, their appreciation fades away. They experience a sense of disruption. There was a man named George, a father whose generosity towards his children was truly remarkable. He provided financial support whenever they required it, set aside his own priorities to lend a hand, and even adjusted his life to meet their needs. Instead of appreciation, he encountered grievances. They failed to express their gratitude. They anticipated greater things. And the most disheartening aspect was that when he truly required their support, they were preoccupied with their own matters. Then one day, George decided to take a step in a new direction. He learned to set boundaries for himself. He ceased to extend his assistance even before it was requested. Above all, he began to assert himself by saying no when it was necessary. Initially, his children felt a sense of frustration. They were puzzled by his lack of willingness to go above and beyond for them any longer. However, as time passed, a change occurred. They began to appreciate the importance of his time. They began to recognize his efforts as they came to understand that his generosity had its limits. It was a blessing, not a certainty. When it seems that your children are not valuing your time, effort, or kindness, it may be beneficial to pause and reflect. Reflect on whether you are contributing beyond your limits. What might unfold if you decided to pause? When you show others that your kindness depends on their respect, they will begin to view it through that lens. Step 6. Create a fulfilling existence independent of them. One of the most impactful methods to earn your children's respect is to demonstrate that your happiness is not solely dependent on them. As caregivers, it's instinctive to dedicate ourselves to our little ones, placing them at the heart of our existence. As we journey through life, that dynamic evolves. When you dedicate your whole existence to others, they might begin to perceive you as someone lacking their own pursuits. Individuals earn admiration when they possess a clear sense of purpose, pursue their own passions, and find genuine fulfillment in their lives. When children perceive that they are the source of your entertainment, validation, or sense of purpose, it can lead to feelings of suffocation or even deeper issues. They may begin to perceive you as an individual lacking personal fulfillment. There was a woman named Eleanor, a widow in her late 70s, whose life journey was rich with experiences. Following the loss of her husband, she dedicated herself entirely to her children's lives, frequently reaching out, offering unsolicited advice, and hoping they would occupy the void left by her partner. However, rather than bringing them together, it created distance between them. Visits dwindled, conversations grew brief, and Eleanor found herself feeling more isolated than she ever had before. In that moment, she decided her path. She became a member of a book club. She embarked on journeys with her friends. She dedicated her time to a local community center, contributing to the well-being of those around her. She shifted her focus away from making her children the center of her universe, and something remarkable unfolded. Her children began to connect with her more frequently. They were intrigued by her actions. Her independence was a source of admiration. She commanded their respect. If your children lack respect for you, consider whether they perceive you as a person leading a rich and purposeful existence, or do they perceive you as someone lingering for their focus. When you demonstrate that you are truly embracing life, rather than merely going through the motions, others will begin to perceive you in an entirely new way. If you're still engaged with this video and appreciating these insights, kindly drop a number 6 in the comments to show your presence. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time to do so. Be sure to turn on the notifications so you stay updated with all the latest videos. Your encouragement enables us to keep producing valuable content that enlightens and motivates you. In conclusion, it's important to understand that respect cannot be forced upon your children. Your influence shines through your demeanor, the boundaries you establish, and the way you navigate your existence. If someone has begun to show you less care, consideration, or respect, it's best not to expend your energy on anger. Consider changing your perspective. Let go of the need for their validation. The more you detach from it, the more it will naturally come your way. Set the standard through your actions, as your integrity resonates more profoundly than mere speech. Release your emotional reliance. The greater your self-sufficiency, the more they will value your presence. Establish limits, for individuals will only regard you according to the standards you set for them. Cease to offer your kindness without recognition, for when your generosity is overlooked, it diminishes in worth. And above all, cultivate a life that is uniquely yours, as individuals are drawn to those who possess their own purpose, joy, and sense of fulfillment. By embracing these actions, you will unlock the potential for something truly remarkable to unfold. Your children will begin to perceive you in a new way, not as someone seeking their focus, but as an individual who naturally earns respect just by being themselves. With patience, the respect you seek will find its way back to you, not through demands, but through the integrity of your actions. We appreciate your presence with us today. We welcome your thoughts and feedback. We invite you to share your insights. Please leave a comment below detailing one lesson you discovered today and how you intend to incorporate it into your daily journey. Your insights matter greatly, so feel free to express them without reservation. Your feedback inspires and uplifts us immensely. If you found this video valuable and enjoyable, consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, and sharing it with others. Your encouragement empowers us to keep producing valuable content that enlightens and motivates you. We appreciate your time and can't wait to connect with you in our upcoming video.